Good afternoon, and welcome to our first annual PACE Academy Town Hall meeting. You have just listened to the unveiling of the William Horton Memorial Library. You have listened to our engineers present the unveiling of our library, which will focus on literacy and improving reading at Peace Academy. I am sitting here today with legendary Detroit Tiger Willie Horton and his eldest son, Daryl Horton. Mr. Horton, among many things, have contributed to the 1968 World Series, where he was phenomenal and played a important role in that win. He also is noted for participating in the All-American League All-Star team in 1965, 1970, and 1973. Mr. Horton, welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you for, we're glad to have you today, along with Daryl Horton, your eldest son. Mr. Horton, many of our youth today participate in athletics in Detroit within Southfield. And of course, they aspire to be part of the major leagues, NFL, the NBA. How important is education to those aspirations?
It's very important. I think it's the way I learned to play sports, not with a bat and a ball in my hand. I go back to Mr. Ron Thompson, go back to Post School Ground down near the Jeffrey Project, that he brought us together as a group of kids, and we thought we'd go out and just play sports. And he made us put our balls, bats in a pile, and we sat in a circle and told us to hug each other. And you didn't want to hug no kid, a little boy. But he told us important how we had to learn how to love each other before we could begin to have sports. And then from that, you take it into your family setting. And then from that, you're going into school. And it's very important through education, especially in sports. It's so many of us back years before me didn't have education. They got the shortcoming. It's still tough out there now, but it's very important that you have that home setting into the schools. And from that, because I had extended parents where I came up in life as my school teacher. And I go back to my history teacher, Miss Brinson, and she was tough on me in high school, but she was there with me after I signed and helped me further my education in Florida. And I went on and, maybe I might not accomplish what I did in baseball. I learned through that with education I could do other things in life. And from that, I have done other things beyond the field. I've been in the corporate world, and I've been involved working with a lot of military outreach programs beyond the field.
How important was it to instill the values that you've learned into your other siblings?
Very much so, and my father was very stern with that as well. He's a disciplinarian. He's always taught us as children growing up, always extend your hand, but never extend it to receive, extend it to give. Mm-hmm. And he always taught us about love, and that's a giving. I think love and loving our children is a giving. But he took it a step further. If we don't educate ourselves, then we're setting ourselves up for failure. And today, sports today, you almost have to be tested in order to play professional sports. And also what we've learned throughout the years that there's a lot of positions in sports that does not necessarily translate to being on the field. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of front office jobs that we've learned about that you can make a great income from basketball to baseball to football, even hockey, jobs that are paying six figures. But a lot of our children don't know that. They're not introduced to that. So education is definitely important. And I think and my father and my mother both, they were very, very firm about education in our family. Back then, if you didn't do what you're supposed to do, it was what we call the belt, and it was a punishment. It was a punishment. If you didn't do your homework, it's a punishment. And I think we've gotten away from that because I think we give our children too much power nowadays. And we're giving them too many opportunities to say, no, I don't want to do this. I don't feel like doing this. Well, when my dad was coming up, that wasn't an option. When we were coming up, rather, that wasn't an option. My dad was firm on that. Even when he traveled a lot, every night after the ball game, he would call home, hey, first question, did you get your homework done? Okay, what did you get? Where's the progress report? And those things, and I'm trying to instill that with my oldest son. he took that road, and I never had one incident. He was very good in school, but the one I have right now, I'm fighting with him a little bit. I'm fighting with him a little bit, but I really thank God that he was able to enroll in PACE. That has changed his direction, because the direction he was going at first, I needed my dad, I enlisted my dad and his uncles and everybody else help. But I thank God that he's at PACE Academy, because I have seen a change in him, and I've seen a change in his interest in life and education as well.
Literacy is very important at PACE Academy, and it is extremely important to our principal, Mr. Perry. How important do you feel literacy is to education?
Well, it's very important. I mean, that's the beginning. You can't have that, where can you go? I think it's just like you having development from a child up. I look at my life, I remember I was at PAL years ago, and we put a program, career development program, and thanks to a couple of Officer Nell and Officer Butler, that we came up with, we'd look at a total picture of a child, and that's from literacy. And from the total picture of a child, you look at the womb before he's born to the seniors. That's how you have growth from a literature through education. And from that standpoint, we grow PAL from we had 6,000 kids, we went to like 22,000 plus kids, but we got the whole parents involved in that. It's very important to have that.
Shortly, many of our PACE Academy students will participate in an oratorical presentation, remembering the past to shape our future. With that said, in 1967, you played a key role in trying to subdue the riots in Detroit. You stood on your vehicle in your uniform. What message were you trying to convey?
Yes, my involvement in the 67 riot, it started way before then. It started the year I signed in 61, and when I left home, went to Florida, and I got off the bus in Lakeland and get in the cab, and take me to Tiger Town, and he said he couldn't take me. At first I thought it was a joke. I said, well, give me my duffel bag, and I had to walk 6 miles to spring training. From that 6-mile walk, it got me ready for that ride in 67, other outreach program on the field, because I didn't realize that, in Detroit, you're seeing yellow cab, checker cab, here's the same thing, and they say you can't ride. But then when reality set in, when I got to Tiger Town, then they had us go in the back of the dorm. Or then I go to the ballpark, I seen a black and white water fountain. And I think that got me ready for the ride. And I said, well, what can I do in life that I can make a difference for my children, and before I had my kids, and other people in life? And from that, I was very fortunate to have a person in my life, Ernie Harwell. I learned a lot from Ernie, which was a white person, and he taught me a lot about rise, integration, Negro baseball, et cetera. And I learned this from Jackie Robinson and Larry Dovey, et cetera. But take me into the ride, I was skin tough at the time, because up to the ride, when I had to travel in the South, we couldn't stay in the hotels. We couldn't eat with the white players. But I was very fortunate coming from a family of 21 kids, what I learned from home from my parents, whether the pain there, you still can reach out. And that pain I took during the time I spent in the minor league helped me got skin tough for the ride. And what I did in the ride, I was there trying to bring peace to the city, because to me, the ride was in the community where I used to have paper routes on 12th Street. I'm seeing people that I've seen ever since I was a kid playing baseball at Northwestern Little League and Billy Rogel League at Northwestern. And I've seen this happen in my community that I thought it was like a world war just took off. But all I can remember, I got on top of the car and tried to bring the peace to the city. But when I look back now, as I'm 71 years old, and I look back through the years, I can remember the people concerned about Willie. They was very concerned about Willie, and so that gave me hope. When they concerned about Willie, and I'm trying to be concerned about them, it showed you they had a pain, and they had to express their pain some kind of way. And I remember talking to people, let's get our point out what we want. We don't have to burn down our neighborhood, but let's make a statement. Because sometimes people take rides, and when you see things burn down, so that's all they want to do. But the pain went way beyond that, and I'm so glad when I got involved, working when I great mayor of this city, Coleman Young. At the time, he was a state representative at the time. And from that day on, I got totally involved in our community.
Each year we commemorate the legacy and the accomplishments that Dr. Martin Luther King contributed to race relations and trying to bring not only our community together but the entire world. Through those efforts, a lot of what he did was on a community service type of platform. And we are starting to see in high school now, students have to participate in community service in order to graduate. How important is community service to our generation?
Yeah, community service is very important. And I think that's how, I know that's how we and my wife raise our children, because you can help go out and earn, but you should still share. And I know that's been part of my life as a kid, and through my kids, I try to pass that down. I know my wife did also. And so, cause sometimes you can get so much and still don't want to reach back. And I think from community service, it gets you back to that home setting. When you know how to open the door for a young lady, or say yes ma'am or no ma'am. And that's where we got away from in life. I have a very concern about that today, that we don't see enough of that. And I think it's kind of, I'm glad to see it in our school now, because it's a must, because we can kind of, I think you can grow so fast and forget all the comfort of living or what life is all about in between. I think that's what we did in the last 30 or 40 years. And I think having that in school is very important, because I have a couple of young grandkids going through community service. I got a couple older and going through that. Because, you know, although we gave them things, but they still got to learn how they earn that. One thing I learned working for Mr. Illich and his family, that whole family is more about giving. I watched him, saw Mr. Illich in the past 12, 15 years, his grandkids started them picking up paper at the ballpark, wiping off seats. That's very important, how to open up the door, how to say yes and no. And it don't hurt you to say yes ma'am or no ma'am, or can I open this door, can I help you? We got to get back to that. You know, I remember when I was a kid growing up, we used to go carry groceries home and help people. Yes ma'am, no ma'am. Although they were paying me, but still I had to say yes ma'am, no ma'am. Can I help you? Did I do enough? You got to get back to that giving. If you don't, we lose it. And I think it's a world problem now. It's a world problem now. Not because Willie Horton said it, you said, or my son. It's a world problem now. It's not the United States, it's a world problem. I do a lot of traveling, and we got to get back to that setting. And I believe whenever it starts, it got like a disease. You can't get rid of it once it starts. It takes years to get rid of it. The same way we got to get back to that home setting.
And I'd like to add to that, our President of the United States right now, Barack Obama, that's what he ran on, community service. And folks tried to make a mockery of that, but serving people, and now they're beginning to see the fruits of that, what it means about helping others and being concerned about others. As a matter of fact, the Pope right now just spoke about that, reaching out and helping others, getting back to community, getting back to the service of the community. And also, to take it a step further, I think our churches need to start getting back more involved into the community as well.
Exactly.
And once we do that, that'll be the bridge that'll make everything come together.
Many times we celebrate our students that are doing well academically, but it's also important to speak to those students that are on the borderline. They're at a point in their life where they have to make decisions, and it can go either way. If you were standing on your vehicle in 2014 and a last effort to reach out to those students, those young people, what would you say to them?
I would tell them, let's look at life where it is. Let's think about your home setting, mom and dad, but open up your heart where you have a parents away from home. See, I learned through my home setting as a younger 21 of us, that I understand Miss Cyril next door was different than Miss Cyril. That was like an extended mom. When I went to school, I reached out, I had an extended family there. I had parents at school. So they need to open up their heart, and still, they said they got this peer pressure. I think they got to open up their heart and say, well, let's don't use, we got single parents, mom and dad. Let's open up their heart so they understand love out there. People want to help you. And I think once they do that, I think people got to open up their heart to see that also. You know, everybody can't have AIDS. Some of the borderline. I was a borderline child. I was lucky to have Judge Keefe in my life. You know, I was very lucky to have Dad in my life, and he's still there as my father. Judge Keefe is retired judge now, and advisor to all the judges of the United States. I was very fortunate, and he's 94 years old and still working out. I still call him Dad. He came out of legal advisor when I was 13, 14 years old, and I was very fortunate that my folks had insight for him to take me on his wing, show me I can do something that God gave me ability to. I didn't understand it. I would rip and run. But he learned how to spank me. And I think once we understand that, we'll stop saying, well, you too tough on me. Why me? I think every kid that in sports right now, I deal with a lot of minor league players, a lot of big league players, and they'll throw their hands up. Why me? You picking on me. Wait a minute. I'm concerned. I want to make you better. I want you to start using what God gave you. But they got their hands up, they feel like somebody is putting them down. And I think that's come from a person, that they in a position and they'll kind of use that because TV, radio, all this TV time. And they learning all these rights. They said, well, we have rights. I don't think in my life, my children, they didn't have no rights in my house. It was one rule, me and mama's rules. And that's where we got to get back to that's what you call hard love. And I think our society got caught up in it. Parents got caught up in there. And I got caught up in this, well, you can't spank your kid. Yes, you can spank your kid.
Go even further, because a lot of folks may not have had the opportunity like my dad would have a Judge Damon Keith in his life. But what about that child who does not even see his mother on a daily basis, or his father, he doesn't come around, but instill in that kid, though, instill in him that you are somebody.
Exactly.
You are created by God. You are made in his image. And every single person walking this earth has a gift. And it's just about pursuing that gift, but you have to be able to dream. Let no one take away your dream. Without that dream, without that vision, we what? We perish.
Exactly.
All righty. I really would like to thank Dr. Damon Perry for his vision. His vision, he came to us a few months ago and said he had a vision for a library, something that will instill the children, help the children, uplift the community, and he is definitely committed to it. And I really want to thank him for that vision and staying the course.
I'd like to begin this by first of all just thanking Mr. Horton for his commitment to this project. I'd like to thank him for his commitment to our great city of Detroit. I'd like to thank him specifically for his commitment to our youth. When we were talking about who would be ideal to name this library after, his name was the only name that came up. Mr. Horton has demonstrated since his inception with the Detroit Tigers and well before that, his commitment to youth, his commitment to education. And who better to name our library after than Mr. Willie Horton, who has done so much for our youth, who's done so much for our community. I'd like to take this time to invite each and every one of you as you're watching to participate in this historic event. This library is just not going to be used for the children for the 2014-2015 school year. This library will be a tribute that will be at our school forever, and will actually provide an opportunity for our children to go to a nice new library facility with the greatest and the latest in technology, with all of those literacy pieces that are just so important to their development. And we challenge each and every one of you, I personally challenge you to participate in this, to actually donate to this great cause. We're working very hard, each one of our staff members, in raising $75,000 for our library effort. Each one of our staff members have committed their salaries, portions of their salaries, to participate in this giving. And we'd like for you to participate as well. Our goal really for this school year is to literally have each one of our PACE families look at donating at least $20 toward our library effort. And let that be a testament to the school, to our students, and more importantly, let that be a testament and a statement to our care and concern for education and carrying and furthering on our children's development. Thank you so much.